Alright, in the last lesson we quickly created this table here. And again, we have this table tag right here, and then inside the table we have table rows, which are the TRs, and then the TD, the table data, or the table cells, which contain our data. And so now we're going to look at a couple attributes that can control this table. Let me widen this out here just a little bit just to kind of show you some things. So we're going to add some attributes to the table tag itself. The first one I want to show you is width. And I'm going to give it a width of 100%, and you'll notice it goes the whole width of the browser window there, or 50%, which is 50% of it. So I'm just going to keep it at 100% here. And by the way, you can control this with CSS, but we haven't gone into CSS. That's another course. But a lot of this you can control with CSS. So let me show you another one here called cell padding. And let's give it 10. And now you notice we kind of spaced it out there just to give it a little easier read there. Oh, and another thing I want to point out with cell padding, you're giving it distance padding from the inside of that cell. And you'll see what I mean here in a minute, what that actually changes. And so if you wanted to, you could give it a border as well, 1 pixel in this case. So the other one is called cell spacing, and you could, if you want, I'm going to give it 10. And you'll notice with padding is the distance between the text here and the edge, whereas cell spacing is the distance between the edge of the element and the other element. Watch what happens if I remove this here. It eliminates it completely. So it's sort of like a margin between the two, whereas padding is a padding between the insides of that element. And there's a lot more you can do with tables. We're not going to really get into the depths of it right now. Let me eliminate some of this margin here. But just to give you an example, and I'm going to use CSS, and we haven't covered this yet, but I'm going to give this an attribute, and I'm going to say background color is light gray. And so now you can see I put it there, and then let me do it to the other row down here, and let me do it to the last row down there, and now I have striped rows. And let me just get rid of this border. About 1 pixel. So now you have kind of a nice formatted table just by adding some CSS, which we'll get into a little bit later. So that's the basics of a table. Now the next lesson we're going to implement this into our project to see how this is actually useful.